India's economic trajectory is demanding an enormous amount of fuel. To keep industrial expansion on track, the country requires a continuous influx of foreign energy. Traditionally, that supply has come from the Middle East. However, escalating instability and regional conflict are now threatening the security of those established crude oil trade routes. Then, in January 2026, a separate geopolitical shock arrived. A surprise U.S. military operation resulted in the abduction of Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro, throwing the nation into chaos. This global map shows proven oil reserves by country. As you can see, Venezuela is dwarfing every other nation on Earth. The sudden removal of its leadership left a power vacuum over the world's largest oil supply. These two crises forced an urgent scramble. A rapidly growing consumer needed a safe supply, and a politically destabilized supplier needed a way to survive. Delcy Rodríguez stepped into the role of acting president under intense pressure. Her immediate priority was to stabilize a country reeling from foreign intervention and economic isolation. Her first major move was to fly to New Delhi for a direct meeting with Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Rodríguez used this visit to secure a massive economic anchor for Venezuela, intentionally positioning the country's recovery outside the reach of Western financial influence. During their discussions, the Indian government maintained a pragmatic focus. New Delhi signaled its intent to ignore external political pressure and return to a normal, functioning trade partnership. This relationship is built on a specific economic logic that diplomats call perfect complementarity. Venezuela possesses enormous oil assets, but years of isolation mean they lack the capital and the guaranteed buyers required to actually monetize those resources. India provides the other side of that equation. They have an insatiable demand for crude, and crucially, the specialized refining technology needed to process Venezuela's heavy, dense oil. This chart shows how quickly the shift occurred. In just a few months, Venezuela surged up the rankings to become India's third-largest supplier of spot-purchased oil. While spot buying addressed the immediate crisis, both leaders are now moving to cement this partnership through secure, multi-year supply contracts. To facilitate these deals, Venezuela is currently undergoing an unprecedented restructuring of its entire energy sector. This strategy involves dismantling old state monopolies, opening oil and electricity markets to private foreign investment. Indian corporations are moving into active roles within this new system, shifting into direct participation in upstream extraction and downstream refining infrastructure. In exchange, India is providing its pharmaceutical expertise. By supplying low-cost generic drugs, India is helping to rebuild Venezuela's struggling public health services. This arrangement trades India's long-term energy security for the capital and medical supplies Venezuela needs to maintain its state functions. This finalized supply chain is already altering the logistics of global energy trade. India is gaining strategic autonomy, securing a massive energy source that remains unaffected by the volatility of the Middle East. For Venezuela, the pact provides an economic shield and grants the transitional government under Rodríguez a critical level of international legitimacy. By establishing this direct trade flow, both nations are effectively bypassing Western sanctions and diplomatic pressure. The India-Venezuela Pact shows how nations in the Global South are now coordinating to secure their own interests, moving independently of the traditional power centers in Washington or the Middle East.